Now we're going to tackle the little mini Slimline album that comes in your desk organizer. And this is it here. You can see that it has little ribbon enclosures and separate flaps for the right and for the left. And then it also has a center flap here. So we're going to be making the construction of the book itself, and then we're going to decorate it. Now, let me point out that the collection of paper that we're using has a little bumblebee on the front cover that we're going to cut out, and we're going to use it on the front cover itself. So you may want to hold on to that little bumblebee there, or to the one down at the bottom of the page. Either one of them, they're great accents to add to your paper. So let's get started with covering our book and getting going. On your cutting guide, you're going to see that there's a whole page of cuts that have been made for you. You're going to find that we have chipboard already pre-cut at 3.5 by 8.5, and then we have the spine, which is at 2 and 8.5. Now this time I did include a little bit of double stick adhesive to put on your spine to make sure it holds really good. And we're going to start by covering our chipboard. You've got black linen paper to work with. You've got 3 pieces that are 5.5 by 10.5. One side's a little smoother than the linen side, so try to use the linen side on the outside. Now, what I'm going to do is take and adhere this to my paper in the center so we can make our border. So I'm going to put my glue on there, or if you want to use double stick tape, you can do that. I'm just going to use glue here. I'm getting it everywhere, aren't I? And let's put this down in the center, leaving about a 1-inch margin all the way around. If you want to measure or use spacers, you can. And I'm going to smooth this out with a burnishing tool. And then just simply train my paper by bending it. And you know how I am. I'd say this is the most important part of the whole process. Is trying to get that paper to start bending. Okay, so now I'm going to lay it down, holding carefully on the edges so that I won't pull up where it was glued. Press that down. And do the opposite side, same way. I'm trying to keep a white paper underneath it so you can see it a little bit more clearly. And then I'm going to open that back up, and I'm going to do the same thing here. Sure, I've got those bent pretty good. I'm going to keep that nice and firm to the edge. Great. Now I'm going to take my double stick tape and I'm going to run it around the chipboard itself, just on the edges. And then I'm also going to put it on the edge of the paper. I'll be applying glue as well because I do like to have a combination of adhesive, double-sided adhesive tape and glue as my usual process here. Now this side I'm doing on camera, and then I'm going to do the other one off camera so that I'm not taking up more of your time. Okay, now burnish all that down to make sure it stays nice and smooth and is permanent. Pull all before you pull the backing off, let's not forget to go ahead and miter those corners. So you need to take your scissors and you need to miter, leaving about an 1/8 of an inch, 1/8 of an inch to a 1/16 of an inch border on that edge. Remember how we miter. There we go. And I'm doing that so I get my ends of my tape all off. Now throw that away. Now pull the backings off your tape. Okay, or just pull the tape off. Ever had one of those days? Okay, I'll try that again. Did you like that? The first one I did. Now I'll try again, just taking the backing off. I know you guys like laughing at me. Depending on the fiber of the chipboard, sometimes it's easier to pull that tape off than others. Okay, now that I've got that off, I can add my glue now. So I'm going to take my glue, and I'm going to do my long sides first. I'm going to put a bead of glue down the center, a little bit up in the open area, and then just a little bit on that tape there, and fold that over, burnish it down. Now you're going to have some excess come out, so take your paper towel or your rag, whatever you use, and make sure you get that excess glue off. So I'm doing that now. I'm going to glue this side. Just a little bit there. I've got a bold tip on my glue here, and it's squirting out rather heavy. Okay, do this one, lay it over, good, and then do this end. And that's awfully heavy, so I'm going to dab some of that glue off. I got to change tips. All right, now go ahead and do this one and do the other side. Don't forget to square off those sides, and I'll be right back after I do my other side. All right, now we've got our front and our back covered, so we're ready to go ahead and start on the spine. Now this is the spine piece here, and it's the same measurement on the cardstock or the black linen as it was on the front and the back, because we need a little bit to hang over. Now, this double stick tape, I'm going to use it to put onto my spine. And to do that, I'm just going to simply pull off the backing and apply this to my chipboard. Now you need to apply it in the center. Good. Smooth it down. Pull the backing off without pulling it off the chipboard. Now this is always the hardest part for me. I have a terrible time getting off the backings. All right, there we go. Now, I'm going to take my linen cardstock, making sure the linen piece is on the front if there's a difference. And I'm going to center it where I have an equal amount of distance here and here, and about 1 inch from the top and from the bottom. Press it down. Now, this will make a nice smooth spine. I like using the double stick adhesive on my covers a lot. And I think I gave you some to use on your backdrop, so it'll make it nice and smooth. Pre-cut them for you there. Now I'm going to simply pull this over and kind of train it a little bit to bend all the way over. Good. This is going to be my hinge, so I got to be careful. And then I'm going to go backwards, making sure I don't pull it off of the chipboard, but I'm making sure it's nice and flexible. Okay, after I get that one done, I'm going to do the same thing over here. Uh-oh. I guess I need to put that Post-it tape there down here so I won't keep knocking it off. It kept sliding on me. Good. Alrighty. Now I'm going to bend it backwards. Okay, make sure it's nice and flexible again. Now I'm going to do my end, same way. Okay, good. Excellent. Now, we're ready to attach this down to this and this to here. What I like to do is use my score tape for part of it. I'm going to put some right here. And then I'm going to put some right across the top. Do the same thing on the opposite side. And again across the top. Now, if I have extra tape sticking out, I want to trim that off, okay, because I don't want that to interfere or show up later as a problem. Good. Now I'm going to pull, after I burnish them down, I'm going to put the glue on there. Pull the backing off. Keep pulling it off this chipboard. There, I did it again. I don't know what my problem is today. It's my fingernails, I know. Now I'm going to make sure I glue that good right here in the joint, up here, on both sides. And I'm going to run just a little bit along that edge to hold it down. Now I'm going to fold that over. The tape's going to hold it till it dries. Okay, and I'm making sure it's nice and close to that edge. Good. Now I'm going to do the opposite side. Hopefully a little better than I did the front side. Or the other side, I mean. Notice I am putting it in the crease there because I want it to hold. Okay, good. Got more glue on my bone folder here. All right, now that I've got that, I want to fold that so that it folds nicely. Good. Score those down pretty good. I'm going to run this down the edge here to kind of make it a little bit more flexible. Then I'm going to take my scissors and I'm going to miter here and miter there. This is going to help me attach it and not show these ends. So I'm going to take it like that. I'm going to do the other side. Then I'm going to spin it around. And I'm going to do the same thing. I don't know why my camera keeps turning. It's on its own. Okay. Okay. Now, I've got those. Now, I need to bind it to my front covers here. And this is the way it'll be bound. Remember when we picked this up, that it'll have that crease on the outside. So this is where we're going to put the adhesive. I know it looks like you're doing it on the front, but that's okay. We really are doing it in the right place. So I'm going to take my tape. This time I'm going to go ahead and switch to a wider tape. I'm going to do 3/8 of an inch, keeping it at least 1/4 of an inch from my little crease there. I'm going to do that on both sides. Burnish it down. And pull my backing off again. Put my glue on there. And I'm going to put just a little bit right on that tape because I want it to slide just a little in case I mess up. Now, I want to get just a little closer there. Okay. Now I'm going to find my scoreboard. Hang on. It's coming. And I'm going to take my scoreboard and turn it this way because I want to lay this down so that this straight edge is against this edge here. And then I'm going to take my cover and I'm going to slightly pull it towards where that crease is. And that way it'll be nice and straight so that when it stands up, these two edges are the same. I'm going to wipe away any excess glue or tape. Now I'm going to flip it over again and do the same thing on this side. But I got to put the glue on there, so let me pull the backings off of this. Put my glue on. Again, I'm going to put a bead down through here. In between. This is what makes sure your book stays together, guys. Kind of important. All right. Snug it up against the bottom here. And do the same thing. Line up that cover piece with the edge on the bottom here. Got it a little bit off, so I'm going to scoot it back just a smidgen. There we go. And press that down. Outstanding. Now, what we have, see, it looks nice and straight on the ends. See how they level out? Perfect. Okay, we got that much done, guys. Your book shape has taken form. Now we're going to cover the inside of that with our spine cover. Now for this spine cover, we're going to do something a little different than we've done before. Normally I do a piece all the way across, but this time we're going to make a spine cover that's much, much shorter. In your kit, you received a Sharpie marker. Here's what I want you to do. I want you to take that Sharpie marker and I want you to run it down the inside of that chipboard so that it doesn't show except nothing but black. Cool. And if you want to, you can write on that. Won't hurt a thing because we're going to cover it. Now take your spine covering, which if you look on your cutting guide here, you'll see that the spine inside cover is only 2 by 8 1/4. So we're going to take it and lay it down to where it covers the chipboard exactly. And then when you look at it, you aren't going to see anything that is brown. Plus, we're going to put so much stuff there, you're not going to be able to see it anyway. But I'm going to go ahead and just make sure that I get it good and black there. If you want to do it the old way, you can do it that way too. But I think it's kind of fun to see something different. Now I'm going to take this and I'm going to glue it in place. The spine cover here is going to go like this. Okie doke. And it's going to go over top of this piece here. Excellent. See, you can't see anything. That's going to be just fine, and it's going to hold together nicely. All right, so we've got that glued into place. Now we're going to take the flat piece, which is the same size. We're going to take, it's been scored, okay? We're going to go ahead and miter that like this, okay? So, I think you can see it better on the white. I just kind of mitered it, and then I'm going to fold it with the linen side up. Okay, and it's going to attach here, and it's going to be underneath our printed paper. Now, for the center piece here, we're going to use some of the prettiest papers in the book. This paper, and this paper. I love these blues. They're just gorgeous, okay? This is what the inside of our book is going to look like. Now, here's where I need to talk to you about the paper cutting. The one underneath, you can, if you wish, do a continuous pattern all the way across there too. Here and here, and there and there. Okay? But I've got a continuous pattern on the top here. So I'm going to show you how that's cut. To cut that continuous pattern, what you're going to do is actually take your paper, whichever piece of paper you want to use. Okay, I used the blue. Let me see if I can find a piece here. May have used all the blue. No, there we go. And I selected a section. I wanted this to here, okay? So a 7 by 7/8 by 7 by 7/8, I cut a square because all my papers are cut to that size. This is 7 7/8. This is 7 7/8. This is 7 7/8. This is 3 inches wide. This is 3 inches wide. And this center mat, you're going to cut at 1 7/8. So if you cut a 7 by 7/8, you can slice that to your 3 different size mats, and it'll be a continuous pattern in your book. If you want to do all 3 of them that way, you can do that. But I just wanted to share that with you. Now, what I'm going to do here, let's see. I need one that is, did I not cut one? I may not have. So let me quickly cut one. I need a 1 7/8 by 7 7/8. So let me cut one here. One 7/8. Okay. I tried to cut all of them ahead of time. Okay. Now, this one is going to go right here. But I'm going to glue the back of, I'm going to glue this little flap to the back of this. Then when I stick it down, that flap is hidden, okay? So I'm going to take a little bit of glue here. I'm going to put it on here. I'm going to take my pretty printed paper that I've cut out, center it, and then my flap will come over top. Now, you can anchor this down wherever you think you want it. I'm going to go ahead and add some glue here in the middle. Just enough to get me started. And then I'm going to fold this over, and I'm going to kind of line it up in the center there. Now my flap will work. There we go. Now for the top of that, I already have it cut. it's going to be this one here, which is exactly the same as the one I did underneath. Almost identical if you look. So it won't show any difference, and I'm going to glue that in place. You're safe doing the center flap. We've got little closures and magnets on the sides, so you don't want to do those ahead of time. Now I'm going to take that and attach it. Scoot it up so I have a little bit of a black border. I think I just slid it out of place. I did. Try that again. And I'm going to simply adhere that down. So there is my flap. If you want to do another piece here on the inside, go right ahead. But for the purposes of this video, we're going to stick with what the sample has. So there is how we did this one. When I finish, I'll go back and add that bow at the end, okay? So now we've got the center flap. Now you have these fellas. These have score lines on them. This is what we're going to use for the sides. So you're going to go ahead and score those. I'm sorry, not score, but burnish those edges in. See, there's one. Now let's do the other one. Don't worry about it going upside down because you can always turn them around. Make sure they're good and crisp. You want that fold to be extremely crisp. This is very thick cardstock that I've given you for this particular part of the process. That's why I included big magnets instead of small. So when we lay this out, you're going to see that this, let's see, let's put this one here, okay? It'll open like this with a smaller piece on the inside, the bigger piece on the outside. So they're going to open like that, okay? Now, we're going to attach a magnet under this, and we're going to attach a magnet under this part. So we're going to take our magnets just as soon as I find them. There's a negative and a positive, 2 of each. So take one out of each, a negative and a positive. And if they go together like this, a positive and a negative, you're in great shape. Then I'm just going to take this one here and pull the backing off. Now, before I glue this down, okay, I want to place my magnets. The magnets are placed to where they're pretty much right here. You can do it in the very center if you like. Okay, so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to place it. I'm going to take this, and this is the way it's going to open up. So I'm going to take, okay, so I'm going to take my magnet, and I'm going to place it right here on the inside. Just like that. Now I'm going to take this piece here. I have to slide them to get it to come apart. Okay, see, that's going to go like that. I'm going to lay my magnet back down so I can figure out where it matches up. I'm going to take that paper off, and then I'm just going to close it. Now it stays shut, and my magnets are in place. We're going to cover that with printed paper. Okay? See, printed paper here and printed paper here. Outstanding. Now, you have in your kit some ribbon. You've got about 18 inches. I want you to cut off, excuse me, 3 inches. So I'm going to take my ribbon. I'm going to cut off a little bit about like 3 inches. And I'm going to take my double stick tape. Now, folks, you don't have to do this step. I just like doing it because it makes me feel like I've got it more secure. I put double stick tape over my magnets. They're going to hold anyway, but it smooths it out. Then I'm going to put another piece of double stick tape. I better use this narrow or it's going to show. And I'm going to put it like that. The reason why I'm doing that is because I'm going to pull this off and I'm going to take my ribbon and I'm going to apply it an edge right there. I'm going to take another piece of tape, do the same thing, put it over top of that one. If you want to use glue, you can. And then I'm going to take this, loop it back over. I'm going to make a longer closure here for you so you can see what I'm doing. Now, I'm going to leave that tape on there for right now. Trim that excess ribbon off. Hard to do when the magnet wants to hold my scissors. Now, this is what's going to happen. This and this are going to close, and this is going to be a little closure that will come off. So let's do the other side the same way, guys. We're going to take our other pair of magnets. I told you this was probably the hardest part of the kit, was doing this particular little enclosure. All right, they're together, but oh my goodness, I've got them on the wrong way. I got to do it where I see the plus and the minus. Now I'm going to pull off one side. Doesn't make any difference at all. Good. And all right, this one's going to close this way. So this one's going to close this way. Now, to make them even, I'm going to line them up. This is why we didn't stick it in the book first. I'm going to line them up, top and bottom. Good. And I'm going to stick this in here approximately the same place as the other one. Okay? Close. Excellent. Now I'm going to slide it apart, close this, stick that back down. See? All right. Now I'm going to take this off and I'm going to fold this over, rub it, open it back up, and see we're real close to being in the same lines. I think I would put them a little bit higher, but it's not going to make any difference. Now, what I do want to do is make sure that I line up my little ribbon exactly in the same place, because I want that to be straight across. So I'm going to put a piece there. I'm going to go ahead and put a piece over my magnet like I did before. And now I'm going to take another 3 inches of my ribbon. Let's lay those down like this and see if we're pretty darn... Oh, we're really close. That's close enough for me. All right, so our ribbon is going to be right there in the center and meet that way. Very good. We've got that done. Now we can start with our mats. And you can use any mats that you wish. You can do this one here. You can do this one here. See, they all blend. It looks really good. So we're going to go ahead. You've got 6 pieces of the same size. You're going to have 6 of the 3 by 7 and 7/8. And you're going to have 4 of the 2.5 by 7 and 7/8. And they're going to go on the smaller black covers. So let's go ahead and see if we can get those mats on there. Yes, there's going to be some black showing. That's okay. Now, to make it easier on you, I'm going to go ahead and attach this into my book. So I'm going to glue this down now into my book right here. So I'm going to leave it closed for a minute. I'm going to take my glue, run it over the back. And I'm going to place it in my book. Let me get over it a little bit here. Make sure I'm not near my centerpiece. Keep it a little bit on the outside edge because you don't want to interfere with that fold. So press that down firmly. Okay. Remember, you do have some tape there, so you don't want to press that tape down. Now I'm going to do the other side. Same way. Okay. And I'm going to open, let's see, I'm going to go ahead and place it, then I'm going to open it to press. And I want to keep it the same way I did on the other one. So I'm kind of looking to see if they're even. They look great. Good. Okay. Open this up. Press it down. So now we can go to town adding our mats without worry. So I'm going to go ahead and start adding my mats. I'm going to pull this backing off here so that my magnet will stick to the paper that's going to go on top of it. And let's see, I think I'll use this one. Let me make sure that that's a good fit. It is. So I'm going to put my glue on here. I've already pre-cut all my papers, so I can just quickly go through this. All right. I want to make sure that I get it right here on the edge of that tape, so it covers up the tape itself. Lovely. Then I have another piece here. Now what do I need to do? I need to go back and put some tape over that, don't I? Yes. Let's do that right now. Just to round it out a little bit. Put this on the back of it. And I'll glue that down. Oh, look, it's a continuous pattern. Wonder how that happened. Yeah. See? My continuous pattern is working. And then over here, this one's too wide for that. So I have to look for my smaller version, which is the 2.5 by 7/8. Oh, that looks like it might be a continuous pattern. So let's go ahead and add that there. If I can get my glue to come out. This is the narrower mat, a narrower cut. Okay, very good. Now I'm going to do another narrow one there, but I'm going to go ahead and pick one here at random. Put this on. Outstanding. Now I have, see, my little ribbon enclosure opens a lot easier now that I have mats on there. Pretty, huh? All right, let's go ahead and do the other side. I've got lots of papers here. Let's see. Do I want a continuous pattern on the inside? What about on the outside? Let's see what we've got. Actually, that is the continuous pattern, so I'm going to put that baby there. I love the backs of these papers. I could make a whole book just on the backs. They're so vibrant and pretty. I love, love, love this paper. At first, I thought it might be a little busy, but the more I've worked with it, the better I like it. Okay, now we're going to open this up, pull this tape off. Good. Open the whole thing up so we can make a continuous pattern there if we wish. There's one. Ooh, that's pretty. Let's do this one here maybe, or that one. No, those are too similar. Let's do this, that, and the little narrow one here. How's that look? Oh, that looks pretty darn good, doesn't it? Okay, I think I'll do that. Let's see. Unless, let me check one thing here. Okay, yes, that will work beautifully. So I'm going to go ahead and put those down. This one will go in the center. You're going to have fun with this. You can make it any color you want. I tried to stick with black and ivory because I figured that way, and I didn't put my tape down, so let me do that. You could choose any color you wanted that way. Good. Hides that magnet beautifully. Then go ahead and glue this one down. My tape's holding it. It's okay. I sure wish you could see all the outtakes I do in these videos. You'd laugh. You'd think I do it perfectly. I have to go back and edit frequently. All right, I got that one down. Now let's put a narrow one here. We're about through. Perfect. Smooth that down. By sticking with the blue in the whole thing there, it made it much easier to be able to piece this together. Now I'm missing one for that, and it should have been probably one like this here. So I think I'll go ahead and cut this one down. It was one of the ones that were 2.5 by 7 7/8. So let me cut that. Yeah, we'll just stick that down. It's not that I'm cheating, it's just that I'm trying to utilize bits and pieces. You can understand that. Alrighty, there we go. That worked out nicely. Now we have a continuous book. Now we're ready to do a little decorating on the inside. But before we do that, let's go ahead and do the outside. And the reason being, that bow's going to be hard to lay flat. Okay, so let's go ahead and do this outside part real quick. So you have a bunch of little pieces here. So let me move some of this out of the way, so you won't be confused with all these little pieces of paper. This is a gorgeous mat. I love this pattern. I think it was maybe Whimsy Stamps Dies, if I remember right. Can't remember. Anyway, it's got a pretty diagonal diamond with some like an Indian print there with little chevrons. And I'm going to glue it down to my pink. Now, if your pink does not fit that exactly, you can either leave the pink showing, or I would trim it down just a hair. So we had to try to cut that exact, and it's not easy. So let me get a cutter here. And I'm going to take off 1/8 of an inch. Okay, 1/8 of an inch is perfect because I want the pink to show up through these little diamonds. And if your diamonds aren't all punched out, punch them out. Now, you're going to glue this to this. Real easy, guys. And I would recommend you don't glue over the diamonds. Glue on the inside here. And then maybe add some to the corners and some of the centers, but don't get it on the diamonds. Then we're going to stick this down to our pink. And, oh, that's perfect. And then smooth it out. Very good. Excellent. Now we're going to glue this down to the front of our book. I would recommend you do this before you glue it down, because if you make a mistake, you're going to ruin your book. So you got to do that first. So we're going to do this now. And glue it to the front. Make sure you're not upside down. Yeah, I know none of you would do that ever. Right. Okay. Then you've got a pretty gold mirror piece, and you've got a mat that you've cut, and this is let's see, the mat's supposed to be 2 3/4 by 7 3/4, I believe is the no, 2 5/8 by 7 5/8. So I'm going to mat it down like this. So I'm going to go ahead and glue that to my gold. Keep in mind, please, that gold is not very forgiving with glue. It shows. So go light. Go light on this and place it carefully. Do a dry fit before you put it down like I did, because you want to make sure if you want to do any trimming, you do it before you get that glue on there. You can slide it a little bit. There we go. And now I'm going to take this piece and I'm going to pop it up. So I'm going to take some of my double stick adhesive, mounting foam, and I'm going to run that down. I didn't do a very good job of cutting or tearing that, so let me square it up. There we are. I'm still not doing a very good job, am I? Yes, Sherry's making a mess. The how not to make a book. Okay, once I get that ready, I'm going to bend it back just a little to bend it and bow it. And then I'm going to stick this down on top. That's pretty, folks. If you happen to get a little bit of glue, take a wet rag and it will come off. You just have to be very careful. All right. Then take your bumblebee off the front cover, fussy cut that out, and pop it up there. Now for the spine, we're going to, while we've got it turned over, we're going to go ahead and we're going to, I'm going to put it right here beside us so you can see it, if it'll stand up. Maybe. We're going to put our spine together like this. So I'm going to put my pretty printed paper here on my spine first before I stick it down to the book. We're almost done, guys. Just a few more moments. We're going to go back in and finish the inside, and then we'll be ready to go. Okay. Outstanding. Decide which way is upside down. I don't actually know, so I'm just kind of pretending here. And I'm going to be gluing that down to the very center of my spine. And I don't know which way is upside down or right side up. I think I like the other way better. And I'm going to glue that. And I'm going to make sure it still folds. Yes. Now that's a narrow black margin there and there. Now I've got a couple of pieces that are in there. Some more of the gold. This one's not punched out, so let me punch it out real quick. When I'm making these videos, I try to use seconds. So if something didn't come out perfect, you won't probably notice it, but it bothers me, and I don't want you to get it. All right. Glue this down to your black. Do a dry fit. Make sure it fits. Good. This one I had bent by accident, so it's got a little bit of a crease in it. I'm not worried about it. I'm going to glue it in place. That should hold it without any problem. Making sure I don't get any glue in my chevron or my little diamonds. And I'll stick that down. I'm going to pop that up as well using my double stick adhesive foam. Put that on there. Peel that off. And I'm going to stick it down to my spine. Also in your kit, you got some gems. You got 2 different sizes. You got some large and you got some small or medium. Take 2 of these larger ones and stick them down. Now, I will tell you, being on the outside of a book, to be safe, I would maybe glue those down as well. But for right now, we've got it. So here's the front of our book now. Isn't that pretty? We did good. Now let's open it back up and finish it. First thing I'm going to do is look at the rest of my little whatnots that came. There's a piece of a border. I did not trim this because I couldn't decide whether you guys might want it down the middle, whether you might want to put it like I did on my sample across the bottoms, maybe even put it in the middle one too. I did this, okay? So it has a larger one in the center of each of these flaps. That means you have to trim it to where it will have that larger one in a flap. So what I'm going to do here, I'm going to make it just like I did here. I'm going to mark on here where I'm going to trim, okay? And then I'm going to cut that with my scissors, or if you want to do it with the paper cutter, you can. I'm going to be very careful here and do it straight with my scissors. Best I can. There we go. And then over here as well. Now, any fine hair that I have from where it didn't clip real close to the border, and then I can lay it down like so. Then I'm going to take that gold piece and I'm going to do a dry fit, because that dry fit may mean that you need to trim the edge of it. I made it a little bit long in case you cut yours a little long, okay? So what I want to do is I want to center that on here. Good. And then I'm going to trim that off as well. Excellent. Now I'm going to glue those 2 together. Turned it over because I thought maybe there was a right or a wrong side, but I don't think it really matters. And then I'm going to glue that down. Now, before I glue it down, I'm going to get the other side done too, so I can kind of match them. Okay, there's my other side. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to lay that on top. Now we got it easy, guys, because you got a template you can cut by. Okay. And then on this end, you have a template you can cut by. I might have even cut a little further than I should have. All right, and then I'm going to put my other gold piece there. Okay, it's just a little longer like the other one was. I'm going to trim that off. Good. Glue that on. Got a bunch of glue on that one. Wiping it off on my shirt, my new shirt, man. How silly of me. Okay. Anybody want to buy a used shirt that now has glue across the front? Okay. I'm going to take a Kleenex. Moisten it just a little bit and clean that up. Now, I've got these to where I can put my two edges on here, and I can use a ruler, which is a good idea. And this is what you can do. Line up the ruler with the bottom here, okay? Line it up with the bottom of your grouping, and then when you glue this down, you can glue it to where the tip touches the ruler. Put that on. Look at it to see if you're eyeballing it right. Good. Excellent. Now that we've got the two sides, I'm going to put my gems on there. And you have a couple more gems that you can use. Put a big one in the middle, right here. Put a big one over here, right in the middle. Good. And then take the medium size, put them in the center of these two. Keeping them lined up, guys. Outstanding. This will make a nice little journal. You can add some addresses or just notes you want to remember in here. This is going to be awesome. And then I'm going to put a ribbon with the remaining seam binding that I had left. I'm going to tie a little bow and put on there, or you can wrap it around and tie a bow. I'm going to glue mine down to the front this time. Last time I wrapped it around. I think this time I'm just going to make one and glue it down to the front. Let's see here. If I can get a hold of the ends and make a pretty little bow. Nice. Pull my ends down, trim it just a smidgen so it looks a little neater. And I'm going to glue it right there in the center. Hold it for a moment so it'll stay. And guys, you've got it. You've got your lifts. You've got your whole piece done. Isn't that gorgeous? That's going to be a fabulous book that you can duplicate for others. Love it, love it, love it. All right, that's the end of that video. Moving along.